All right, so we just finished up with equations. So now we're going to go into inequalities. Okay, everything is pretty much going to be the same when you're solving it. There are some rules about flipping signs, but real quick, let's just go over our inequality signs. What is inequality? What is it? Not equal, yes. So if the inequality is open to the left, that means everything on the left is greater than. So this is a greater than sign. Oh, I meant to put it in here. That's where I meant to put it. So put it in here. That is a greater than sign. To graph greater than, are y'all listening to me? So if I say x is greater than 6, you go to the 6 and you put an open dot, and greater than is to the right. So that's how you would shade greater than. Now let's do greater than or equal. How would I graph greater than or equal? Okay, first of all, how would the inequality sign look? Greater than sign, and then a line under it, greater than or equal. Now, how would I graph it? What would be different about this?
It's closed.
It's a closed dot because it means it can be on that number. It is still shaded to the right. Does that make sense? The difference between the open dot and the closed dot. This is not equal. This is just greater than. This is greater than or equal. Okay? Now let's do less than. What does the inequality sign look like for less than? It is closed to the left side, so open to the right. Okay, would it be an open dot or closed dot? Open dot and shaded to the left. Do I need to explain these better? Did y'all do this in 7th grade? Yes? Okay. And then last is less than or equal. So it's going to look just like your less than sign, but with an or equal to. Would this dot be closed or open? Closed and shaded to the left. Now, inequalities, you always want the variable on the left. Did y'all hear me? With equations, it really didn't matter. But for inequalities, you want the variable on the left side because when you go graph, it makes more sense. Okay? We're going to write an inequality for these situations, and then we're going to make like graph on a number line. So here we go. The highest temperature recorded in the United States was 134 degrees at Death Valley, California in 1913. The highest temperature. Okay, so we're going to use T as our variable because we're talking about what? Temperature. Now let's talk about it. The highest temperature. Don't just go put a greater than sign because highest means greater. Okay? The highest temperature was 134. So would anything go above it or does everything have to be below it? Below it. Because the highest was 134. Did it reach 134? Yes, so what should this also have? Now I'm going to say it again. Why did we choose a less than or equal to sign? Because the highest temperature was 134, meaning no temperature went above that. So the temperatures were less than or equal to that. Yes? If I was to graph this on a number line, I would put like the two numbers around it. So I'd put 133, 134, 135. Okay, is it going to be a solid dot or an empty dot?
Solid.
Solid dot, and you can put it above it or you can put it on it. And which way am I going to put my arrow? To the left, because the temperature was at 134 or below it. Do y'all understand how to do these? All right, let's read the next one. The lowest temperature in Antarctica was negative 129 degrees at the Russian Vostok station in 1983. I want you guys to try to set this up on your own. Use the variable T for temperature. Okay, if the lowest temperature was negative 129, then everything else had to be above that. So it was greater than or equal to negative 129. How did y'all do? Good? Okay, now, on these, when you go put them on a graph, remember that negatives are different from positives. So what would go over here? Negative 128, because you write them backwards. Then negative 129, and then negative 130. Okay? It's going to have what kind of dot? Solid or empty? Solid. And which way do I shade? To the right, because it's greater than. And on a number line, to the right, it's bigger. Okay, try the next one on your own. Let's use E for our variable. All right, the lowest elevation in the United States is negative 282 feet at Death Valley, California, meaning that's the lowest it can be. So everything else is going to be above that. So greater than or equal to negative 282. When you make your number line, when you're dealing with negatives, remember that it goes backwards. So I would start with negative 281 on the right, negative 282, negative 283. Solid dot or empty? Solid, and which way am I shading? To the right. And if y'all look at it, it's like the little sign is pointing to the right of which way you would shade. All right, any questions on those? Now we're going to be given a graph, and we're going to write an inequality from that graph. So everybody look at number 1. What is it on? Negative 3. So I'm going to say x is, I'm going to write it over here. Which way is it shaded? So this is how you do it, guys. It's pointing to the left. So do you see how I made my sign, which means less than? Is it solid or empty? So it gets an or equal to sign, and it's on the negative 3. And that's my answer. Easy? All right, let's go do number 3. We'll just go straight down. Okay, x is... Which way is it shaded? So it's less than, but if you want, you can just look and say, hey, it's pointing to the left. Is it solid or empty?
Solid. I mean empty.
It's empty, so it doesn't get the or equal to sign, and it's on the 6. Okay, for this one, x is, which way is it pointing? To the right. So it's going to be like that, a greater than sign. Is it solid or empty? So no equal to, and then 3.5. Now y'all try the 3 right on your own. Yes. Oh, I meant to put less than. Thank you. Okay, check your answers with mine. Any questions? Okay, flip to the back. Now we're going to talk about solving inequalities. When you're solving inequalities, you're going to solve them just like you would an equation. Now, your calculator is not going to solve these for you. You could put this in y1 and this in y2, and it will give you the number you need, like x equals whatever, but it's not going to give you the inequality sign that you need. But it is a good way to check, did I even get the right number? Does that make sense? So I'll just kind of show y'all. You don't have to do it with me. If I go to y equals and I type in x minus 5 for y1 and negative 3.5 for y2, and I hit second trace 5, enter, 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 my answer is going to be x is an inequality sign, and then my number is going to be 1.5. So it will tell me the number, okay? So you can check yourself with that, but let's go solve it by hand. Okay, this is like the equal sign right here. How do I get rid of a minus 5 plus 5? So I have x is greater than negative 3.5 plus 5, which is 1.5. Is that what my calculator gave me? Yes, but is it going to give me this sign? No. Oops, 1.5. No, because the 5 has a bigger value. All right, let's do this one. How do I get rid of the minus 9? Plus 9. Oh, it also wants us to graph them, so we'll go back and do that in just a second. So I have x is less than or equal to, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So let's go graph these real quick. So here I have, let's say, 0, 1, 2, and 3. 1.5 is going to be like right here, and I'm going to shade to the right. Over here I have 11, 12, 13. This one's going to get a solid dot shaded to the left. Do you have any questions? Okay, let's try this next one. How would I get rid of the minus 9.2 plus 9.2? So I have p is less than, and negative 5 plus 9.2 is 4.2. Now, I mean, like, I really don't care how you do this, but you could, if you wanted to, you could say, like, here's 4, 4.1, 4.2, 3, 4, here's 4.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here's 5. That'd be a good way to graph this, yes? And 4.2 is going to be right here, so it'd be an open dot shaded to the left. Okay, try the next one on your own. Oh, this one really shouldn't be on your assignment because this is a multiplying one. These two are. But I'll just go ahead and show y'all anyways. Let's do it together. How would I get rid of a 3.2? Minus 3.2. Who said plus? Where does the minus sign belong to? The x. Okay, so I minus 3.2. So I have negative x is greater than or equal to, and 9.6 minus 3.2 is 6.4. Is x by itself? No. It's not. Now, in 7th grade, y'all should have learned this. What happens when you multiply or divide both sides by a negative? Something happens to the sign. The sign flips. That's actually our lesson for tomorrow. But just in case you see any on your assignment, if your variable is negative, then everything becomes opposite. Yes? So this becomes x. This becomes what? Negative 6.4. And this sign does what? It reverses. It flips over like that. And y'all did learn that in 7th grade, right? Okay, so I'm going to set up, here's a -6, -6.1, 2, 3, 4, 6.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's -7. And I'm going to shade it's less than, so to the left. Okay, let's go do this one. All right, how do I get rid of a -1/2? +1/2? Yeah. So -1 plus 1/2 is a -0.5. Is my m positive? Is my m positive? So my answer is good, but where do I want my variable? So I need to rewrite this with the variable on the left. Which way is the sign to the m? Is it open to the m or closed to the m? So it's got to be closed to the m, and there's my answer. This is the exact same thing as this. I did not reverse a sign. I reversed the whole equation. Does that make sense? This reads -0.5 is greater than or equal to m, and this reads m is less than or equal to -0.5. Are those the same thing? Yes. Okay, so if I was going to put this on a number line, I have 0 here. Then here's -0.1, 2, 3, 4. Here's -0.5, -0.6, 7, 8, 9, and -1. So -0.5 is here. It's or equal to, so it's solid. And I'm going to shade to the left because m is less than. Now, do y'all see why I wanted the m on the left side? If I was trying to graph it this way, I might accidentally shade to the right because that sign is greater than. But m is what? Less than or equal to. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay. Now, this is another one of those that really shouldn't have been on today's lesson because the m is negative, which means you're going to have to reverse the sign. That's actually tomorrow's lesson, but I know you guys can handle it, so let's go do it. How would I get rid of the -4? Sit up and pay attention. Okay, so I have -m is greater than, and -3/4 plus 4 is 3.25. Or 3 1/4. Can the m be negative? No, so I would have to divide by -1, which changes everything's value, so it becomes m, and this becomes -3.25. Are y'all with me? Okay, and then what's going to happen to the sign? It flips. So I make my number line. Here's -3. 3.1, 2, 3, 4, here's -3.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here is -4. I also could have just done it in 25 cents increments since it was 25 cents, but I didn't. So here's -3.25 right here. It's open and shaded to the left. All right, let's do 2 word problems. You are checking a bag at an airport. Bags can weigh no more than 50 pounds. Here's your clue word. Bags can weigh no more than 50 pounds. Your bag weighs 16.8 pounds. Find the possible weights that you could add to the bag. All right, so let's talk about it. W is our variable because it represents how much weight we can add to our bag. How much weight does our bag now? So I have 16.8, and I want to see how much weight I can add to it, right? So what do? Plus what? W. And I want no more than. So what does that mean? Less than or equal to, because it can be 50, but it can't be over 50. Then it says, find the possible weight. So I'm going to actually go solve this. So this is my inequality, and now I'm going to solve it to say how much weight I could add to my bag. So how would I get rid of 16.8? Minus 16.8. And I'm left with W is less than or equal to 33.2 what? Pounds. So two answers, the inequality and the answer. The next one, in 1982, Wayne Gretzky set a new record for the greatest number of hockey goals in one season with 92 goals. Suppose that a hockey player has 59 goals so far. What are the possible numbers of additional goals that the player can make in order to match? He wants to match. What does match mean? Equal or break the record. So the record is what? So it's going to go on the right. And what does this person have? 59. And we want to know how many goals they can add to match or break that. What does it mean to break a record? Go past it. So what sign am I looking for? Greater than or equal to. So here is my inequality. And then I simply solve it by subtracting 59. And I'm left with G is greater than or equal to 33 what? Goals. Okay, I'm going to pass out your... Put your name on your paper and let's go through the directions of each part. So on 1 through 6, they're wanting you to write an inequality just like we did in our notes. So let's just use x as the variable. So for number 1, I'm just going to write it out to the left. X, since it's shaded to the left, is less than or equal to -3. And that would be your answer. Yes? On 7 through 16, it is wanting you to solve the inequality and then graph it. So how many answers are you going to have? Do not forget to do it. You're going to solve it and graph it. And I want you to box in your answer so that it's easy to grade. So I'm going to do number 7 with you. There are not any on here that you have to reverse the sign. Okay, but look at number 12. What side is the C on? So when I graph, I need to put it on the left. Y'all want me to do that one with y'all? Let's do this one. Okay, so I'm solving for C. So how would I get rid of a minus 16.5? Plus 16.5. So I have 22.3 plus 16.5, which is 38.8. So I have 38.8 is greater than or equal to C. But in order to graph this, it makes way more sense if the C is on this side. So C, read it backwards, C is what? Less than or equal to 38.8. That is your answer. Does that make sense? Okay, then I'm going to go over here. Notice they did not give you any numbers. I honestly don't care how you number it, but it needs to make sense, okay? So if you want, put, this will be 37, this will be 37 and a half, 38, 38 and a half, 39. I want at least 3 numbers on there so I can see what's going on. Is this going to be a solid dot or empty? Solid, yes. And so it's at 0.8, which is going to be like right in here, and then shaded to the left. Make sense? Now, if you look at like number 14 and 13, they give you lots of little lines, so you could count those as like 0.1s or whatever, okay? Down at the bottom, 2 parts. You're going to write an inequality and then what? Solve it. So let's go to number 17 together. The sum, what does sum mean? So I'm adding m and 14. So how would I write that? M plus 14 is greater than, so that's word for word, is greater than negative 22. You're going to box that in because that is an answer because it wanted you to write an inequality. Then what are you going to do? Solve it. So how many answers do you have here? Oh, hold on. 3. Then graph your answer. So then we would solve it by subtracting 14. So I have m is greater than negative 22 minus 14 is negative 36. That is my final answer. Remember, when you're on a graph, it goes backwards for negative. So if this is negative 35, I'm going to skip because it's so close together. That's going to be negative 35 and a half, negative 36, negative 36 and a half, negative 37. You don't got to keep going. Just put at least 3 numbers. Is it going to be a solid dot or empty? Empty, shaded to the right. Be careful on number 18. What did we learn about this word? Oh, no, you're fine. You can just write it. 15 is less than. You're good. So you would just write 15 and then put a less than sign or equal to sign, the sum of negative 8 and n. Yeah, that one's easy. Okay, and then let's just do 1 through 20. Does that sound fair? Just don't do them. Just 1 through 20. Okay, get busy.